Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. No, let me move this. Welcome to our second episode of How to Sculpt a Robot. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks for joining me. We're going to get right into the lesson. Our game plan today is to build a armature for our robot. If you missed the first lesson, you can go back and check last Sunday's live stream. They'll all be put together on a playlist over on YouTube that you can go and watch. But yeah, Sculpt a Robot episode 1, we went over another armature. That's right. This is the real deal now. We designed and sculpted our robot in a sketch. So now we have kind of our game plan in front of us, and we're going to use that to give us hindsight into the actual making of the robot. So I had to gather a few extra materials for us to work with. Let's start by going over those. Okay. Let's go over our materials. Yeah, that's normal, La Vie Deluxe, and most people have a hard time twisting the armature together in the middle like that. Just keep trying, you'll get it eventually, where it's like really tight, and just gotta build up the hand strength. Or you use 2 sets of pliers on both sides and use leverage. Okay, so most of our frames or skeletons, or armatures, if you're unfamiliar with the word armature, that's just a word for skeleton, sculptural skeleton, are made out of galvanized steel wire or stainless steel. This is a 16 gauge wire. I also have a 14 gauge, as you can see, is much thicker. Now 14 I think is a little bit, it's for like bigger, bulkier, heavier characters. We're not going to be using that. We're going to use 16 gauge. It's the right mix of durability and but also still, easier to work with, so that's what most of the armatures are made out of. We're going to be adding a few different elements to our robot because of these skinny portions right here. Now, we could use wire and sculpt over it with clay, just like we did here. And you guys can too if you don't want to get these additional materials. But I went to the hardware store and picked up these thicker steel rods that I think we're just going to build the leg armature out of this stuff. Probably from the legs all the way up into the torso will be this stuff. And then this thinner one I might use for the arms. So I also picked up some more. Let me set these down here. I picked up some of these tubes here to be the tube that runs along the back of the leg. I didn't know what size I needed, but I got a bunch of different ones. Let's see here. I actually found these in the model train. There'll be a video of the sketch uploaded on YouTube. So that's the right size there. So this tube, I'm thinking, will run the armor or the wiring for the lights. So now this is just a spun red and black electrical wire. if you type in exclamation point LED in the Twitch chat, you'll get a link to the place where I get this stuff from, all the lighting materials. I'll put links too in the description after we get done with the class. But for all these materials. So they sell this in like a spool. This is the last bit of it I have. It's just a positive and a negative spun together. It's just easier to work with. Because what we want to do is we want to run, if you plan to do LED, you can skip this step entirely if you don't want to do LED lights. But if you do want to do LED lights, we're going to run the wiring for it now. So that way it's already in the position where we need it to be. And then later when we go to install the lights, no risk in baking the wiring with any of the tubes. No, the temperature is not hot enough to mess with any of this. So, okay. So I got a bunch of these different tubes. I think it looks like this one will be the winner. And then I also ordered some more of this stuff, which I use to make easy detachable parts. This is a brass tubing that fits within itself. I also have a link to this telescoping brass tube. See that? And this, I think we're going to make the character detachable from the base, I believe. So, which just comes in handy for so many different reasons. Painting, shipping, all that fun stuff. It's just always good. Or any other part we want to make detachable. So we got the wire, we got the tubing, the LED wire, the thicker metal rod, and then we also have a block of wood. Where to get what? Where to get what? This right here, the telescoping brass tubing. Amazon. Yep. I have a link for that. Yeah, let me make sure. I'll post all these links in the description after we're done here, but I have let me grab it here for you. There's that square brass tubing. Now this is just good to have on hand for not just this project, but really any project you're working on. Okay. Let me go like that. There we go. That should work. Drop the link in the chat. Now the blocks of wood you can get from, I looked online and you can get blocks of wood for like $11 or something silly like that. So I'm not going to give you a link to a block of wood. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you to go to your local hardware store that sells lumber. And they always have a section that has discounted lumber. And you'll find these little pieces of wood for like $1 or $2, you know, and then you can take those pieces and you can cut the base, the sculpture base, you know. And this can be your final base, or it can be just a temporary base, and you can transfer it to your final base after the project is finished. So usually it's a mix. Sometimes these become part of the finished product, and sometimes they just are used for the creation, and then I transfer the piece to something else if I decide later. Just know that whatever decision you make is never permanent. You'll have the option to move it if you want. So, oh, and then also some steel stick. So some JB Weld steel stick. Hopefully I have enough. This is what I have left. Should be plenty. Here's the tube for that. This is a 5-minute steel reinforced epoxy putty. This just helps you add structure where structure isn't. You can mix it. You mix it, you got 5 minutes to put it where it's going, and then it hardens. So, some steel stick. And also, which can come in handy, is this 5-minute epoxy glue. which you can do the same thing. You can add structure to something with the glue. You can glue it into the piece of wood if it's moving around too much. The main thing to focus on when you're building your frame here is you want things solid. You don't want things moving around. It's okay if there's kind of like a wobble, but not, you don't want any looseness in the frame because that's just going to cause you problems. Oh, and then let's not forget some good old-fashioned heavy-duty aluminum foil. I prefer a heavy-duty variety that's got a little bit of a thickness to it, but you can use whatever. And on top of that, probably a hot glue gun with some hot glue, which is used to work with the foil. So, hot glue gun, which I don't know where it is right now. I'm not sure if we're going to need that today. We'll go find it if we do. My local Home Depot, we have a big sign that says nobody can take those woodcuts. Really? There should be a discount lumber section though with pieces that are like warped, you know, that are like not quite straight, because when you cut a piece this small, even if the board is warped, you're going to get good cuts that you can use. So, I know I used to work, actually funny thing, I used to work for Home Depot a long time ago, and we used to have this cart. It was just a cart that looks like somebody's like shopping cart. You put one of those big lumber carts and then a sign on the side that says discount lumber. And then we would just, anytime there was a really bad board, we would just mark it, usually spray paint one of the ends and then and throw it on there. So, okay, there's some other components that I grabbed. Not sure where I put them though. Oh yeah, they're there. Okay. Some other things I grabbed is I went to the hardware section. And if not at Home Depot, try like Menard. I know Menards for sure has it. Yeah, or if, yeah, you can just literally probably go up to a construction site, say, hey, can I have some of these end cuts? Or if you know somebody that's working on a wood project. Most of my end cuts are from just, I buy wood to build furniture or something in the garden, and I just hang on to all the end cuts. I don't throw them away. I have like a big bin in my workshop. I throw them all in there, and then they end up getting used for sculpture. So, or they just sit there for forever and then turn into firewood eventually, but usually used for sculpture. Okay, I found these little aluminum spacers. Sometimes it's good to go into like the section where they have all the little bits, all the little hardware bits, and kind of find something that you think could be useful. I found these little aluminum spacers, and they just so happen to fit onto the thinner steel rod like that. And yeah. So I think we're going to use that when we do the armature for the arms. Just kind of make it look like it's got some sort of a hydraulic feature going on there. Looked all over for those yesterday. Yeah, you gotta really dig. I mean, and you're gonna be limited to what you have available, and that's okay. You could, I mean, technically you could make your own just by taking this pipe here. You know, this aluminum piping. Now, when you cut piping like this, you need a pipe cutter. It's like a little tool you tighten down and you go around and it cuts it that way. If you try to cut this like this, or you could use a saw too, but if you try to crimp it with a, you know, like one of these cutters, it's just gonna pinch the end and it's not good. So I'll probably have to find my little pipe cutter. Got it around here somewhere. Or I'll just use the Dremel tool. Okay. So I think I covered most of the materials for building the armature. If there's anything I miss, I will we'll address it as we're working. Okay, so. Okay, so now we need to start building the armature. I think we're gonna start with our thicker metal rod here. This is gonna be a pain in the butt to bend this, but that's okay. It'll be worth it. We're gonna start building the legs here. We're just gonna use our guy's reference. Probably about right there. Okay. So what we really want to do is we really want to keep this straight right here. From here to here. And then everything below that is okay if it shifts. So let's do this bend first. So I'm making sure I have enough before I do this bend. I'm making sure I have plenty of slack here at the bottom. Ooh. Let's see. Maybe do a little bit more here. Because we want to make sure we have enough not only to go in here, but also down into the base. So let's bend it right there. Let's see how easy this stuff is to bend. Probably not very easy. You can use a table vise if you have one to probably make this easier, but I'm grabbing on really tightly here. And then I'm going to push. I'm holding this and I'm going to push to kind of create that right angle bend here. So let me set that down like that. And I'm just going to use the palm of my hand and... Oh yeah. That's not going to go anywhere. All right, let's mark this. And let's go grab another pair of pliers and use some leverage. Where's my Sharpie? Oh, yeah, there you are. This is a good thing, even though it's a pain in the butt for right now. It's just going to make our structure really sturdy. Nice solid frame. Okay, so that's where our hips will be. Let me go grab some bigger pliers. All right. So ideally, if you had a table vise, you could just lock this into the vise and then use both hands to bend it over. But I don't have that. We're going to work with what we have. Hand vices. Okay. All right, you know what? I'm gonna have to use my body strength here, so just 1 second. Oop. There we go. Why don't you use more wire and twist it and bend it? Well, we want this for this, save ourselves some sculpting pain later. So we're not gonna have to sculpt a perfect cylinder for the leg post. All right. See this part right here? This is gonna be nice and shiny and really, pretty much already done. Okay, so we have that bend there. Now we need this bend where the knee is. I'm just gonna mark that. No, the LED can't go in this. It's solid. There's going to be this tube that runs along the back side here. See the second one? That's where the LED light wire will go. Okay, so this one goes here, this way. That means this is a good time to mention that if you're in your sketching phase, you realize you wanted to change proportions, to make sure you make those changes as you're going through and building this final sketch here. All right, so I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna make this bend here. That would be the straight leg. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that would be the easiest place to put it for sure. It could be on the bent leg, but yeah, you're gonna make it a little bit harder for yourself. Okay. Grab it with the pliers, and we're gonna give that a bend. Try to get the same angle we got. A little bit more. All right. Now let's see. Right here will be the middle. We're gonna bring this up through the middle of the character. Okay. So I'm gonna make a bend so it goes straight up, and then we're gonna have our cut. Do another bend. This armature, or what do you mean? This will be visible in the final result. This part of the armature, yeah. Okay, so I think we'll cut it right here. Now to cut something like this, we can use a hacksaw or handsaw, or we can use the Dremel tool. I'm probably just going to use the Dremel tool. You can use the Dremel tool with a cutting wheel, or we can use a hacksaw. Either way works. Let's see. Let me grab this. And if these extra tools to do this method aren't in your wheelhouse, just do it. Just build the armature the same way, but with the twisted galvanized steel. And you're just gonna have to finick and sculpt the cylinder of the leg later. Yeah, so just use the twisted armature wire, just like you would on a normal character, and you're gonna have to just sculpt that cylinder part that we're kind of avoiding here. I guess. Oh, and then the main worry, I guess, is that that the structure won't be enough because this is a very top-heavy character. So you might want to sculpt that section with epoxy clay. That's just that part. So it gives it that structure, that durability. So you would use this, you would use regular twisted armature, and then you would coat it with epoxy clay, and then you could sand it to get the final shape. It's just going to be a lot more work. Or you just design your robot to have thicker legs, and then you don't have to worry about it. You know, just add more like paneling and stuff. But, you know, I really like this look of this really skinny leg. So that's why we're going for this. Okay, so now we're going to cut this here. Right there with this cutting wheel. First bend done, and I'm breathing heavy. There we go. It's a workout. It's a workout and a sculpture class today. All right. Hot. All right, good. Yeah, epoxy clay will give you that sturdy structure. Anytime you want to reinforce a frame with using the regular armature wire, you just coat the legs with epoxy clay. Kind of sculpt them with that, let it harden, and then that'll give you a much more solid base. Okay, so we got that part. Next part's going to be a lot easier, I think, because it's essentially just straight. So we're probably just going to measure. We're just going to, let's see here. I'm going to say up to here. Measure this way. Well, actually, no, we can just measure this. I'm copying my measurements over. Okay, so we need to bend this way to create the hip. Oh, jeez, hold on. Dropping stuff. Yeah, whatever limitations you're working with, you just have to learn to work within those limitations. And just because I'm doing it this way doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. There's many paths to the same finished product. This is just one element, and if you don't do it this way, trust me, you're still going to be able to make a successful robot. Just got to go with one of those other routes. Okay, so let's get this bend here. Okay. There's the first bend on the second leg. So then these spines all wrap together with wire. See? Like this. And this is the spine. This goes up the middle. Okay, and now we want the same width of the hips. So I'm gonna go like this. make a mark right there. And that will bend straight down. So I hold it like I've been holding it like this, kind of on my knee, and then I use this palm of my hand, and I just push with a lot of force. So. Actually, you know what? Just kidding, I'm gonna do it this way. Why push when you can pull? All right. And then this one just goes straight down all the way to the bottom here. We could probably just cut it off right about there. Now, don't go straight to just the bottom of the foot. You want to give yourself some room for the peg that goes into the wood or into the base, you know, so I made this a bit longer. Okay, so now we're going to do another cut here. That was the easy leg for sure. So, okay, so if you like, for example, on this foot, if you want the heel to be lifted, it has to kind of come out the middle of the foot or the ball, you know, so there's another bend that will have to be put in there. If you want it to, or you have to make the build up the area on the heel. So I usually make it go kind of like the middle of the foot is a pretty safe spot. So you can always build up scenery around if it doesn't work later, you know. If the wire's exposed, you can just build up the dirt and rocks around his foot to kind of conceal that. So, but ideally, middle of the foot's pretty safe for most foot positions. So, okay. So let's make our cut here, and then we're gonna be able to we're gonna combine these two pieces together, and then we're going to get them into their final actual pose. So. All right, there's some leftovers. So this is a 3-foot section I bought. Hillman Group. Was it 3/16 inch 3-foot steel round. Now can you redo this using epoxy? No, because the reason I'm doing this is so I don't have to do that. But I mean, basically, you're taking your twisted armature, you're doing the same step. Actually, no, do I have a piece here? Well, let's see here. I'll do a mini version. You're bending your pieces just like I did, but with this stuff. And then you're getting it into the final position where it needs to be. So build your whole armature. And then after that, you're gonna go and you're gonna make take a epoxy sculpt or a magic sculpt, and you're going to sculpt the cylinder on the legs. So, or you're just gonna not even sculpt it. You're just gonna squish it on there to reinforce the frame. And you can be ugly about it and then cover it later with cosplay, but just know you're gonna have to make your legs thicker than what ours are. You know, it's gonna change the design of your robot. You know, with this one, I don't have to sculpt this perfect cylinder. It's already there. You know. Okay, let's see here. Now let's bring these together. And we're going to kind of tether them with a smaller armature wire here. Grab some of that. I got some 22 gauge wire. You can add that to the list of things to need. Yeah, you can sculpt it really sloppily and then sand it to shape, or you can try to sculpt it as close as you can and then sand it to shape it, you know. There's probably going to be sanding either way. It's just less sanding if you try to kind of get it to shape as cylindrical first as possible. This is just some old scrap wire from something I bought. It's spooled up. It's about 22 gauge here. All right. And we're gonna take this here. We're gonna wrap it around one end. And we're gonna take the other end, put it right up next to it, and we're just gonna wrap this around and kind of tie these together nice and tight. Don't worry so much about the positioning. There we go. Careful with the little end of the wire. You don't want to hurt yourself. Okay. Now, let's kind of get this into its final position here. So it seems like this is lifted a little bit too much. This needs to be a little bit wider. Now you can see the hips on ours have gotten a little bit wider than the sketch. I have to decide if you're okay with that. I think so. Let me measure from the knee down here. Actually, you know what? Knee to there. Knee to there. Let's make a mark. Okay, so from this point, I'm gonna make another bend here so that this goes straight down and is aligned with this one. Okay. A little bit back the other way. A little bit more. The more parallel they are, the better. That's good. Nice and parallel. Okay, I want to mark where the bottom of the foot is now. So from the middle of the waist to the bottom of the foot. Right there. If you don't trust your finger calipers, you can use real calipers. And so this, from this down, is how much is actually into the base. I'm gonna cut these so they're even, I think. So we'll do another cut there. I'm not gonna cut this yet. Let's wait. If you're unsure, it's better to not cut and wait. Okay. I think this leg needs to be a little bit more straight, so we need to bend it right here. Oop. Okay. Okay, so now we're gonna take this part here and we're gonna cover it with some 5-minute epoxy glue, I think. We can use the clay, but since we're lower on the steel stick, we're just going to use the glue here. Okay, we need a piece of oil to mix it on. The glue and a mixing stick. Good to have some popsicle sticks on hand for stuff like this. All right. The nice thing about building our reference here with the sketch is we just don't. It just kind of takes a lot of the thinking out of this operation. We're focused more on just kind of getting it built and building it right. The design was already been figured out thanks to past us. There we go. This is 5-minute epoxy, so equal parts of each half, and then you want to mix it and make it thoroughly mixed. I undermixed epoxy glue one time, and I'll never do it again. It's essentially like a sticky mess that never fully cures if you don't mix it well enough. 5 minutes is actually a good amount of time, so you got time to really mix it thoroughly and to get it where it's going. If you're having a hard time building your structure and, you know, it's not your favorite part is to do the armature, just remember this is the foundation to your whole project. The better job you do on this part, the easier time the entirety of the piece is going to be. So take the time, make sure it's a really good foundation. Don't rush through it. Don't be anxious to get into the clay phase, which I know you all are. I've been there too. Don't worry. I know how it is. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of push it into this little joint here. Let's mix some more glue here. I've regretted every weak armature I've made. Yeah, I'm telling you. You gain an appreciation for the armature step, and you know, you start to put in the passion that you put into the sculpting, into the armature, eventually too. But all great sculptures, to push the limits of what sculpture can be, it starts at the armature level. You know. Isn't mixing epoxy like when you think you've mixed enough, you're halfway there? Yeah. Just make sure you kind of over mixing is better than under mixing for sure. Better over than under. And hello, welcome to class. For a more delicate female sculpture, would you still recommend 16 gauge? Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. 16 gauge twisted up it's about this thick right here, which is not that thick. And you have to consider you're making this freestanding character, you know, and you want to make sure it's going to stand up, especially later when you get all the weight. That's what you have to think about, is how much weight is there going to be on this. You know, think about 2 skinny pieces of wire are going to be holding up all that weight in the end. So hey, what's up, Lisa? We are building the armature for our robot. Last week we did the sketch and figured out our game plan, and this week we're going to build the armature. I think I might also order the lights with you guys so you guys can see my thought process on what we're going to do for the lights. Now that we have kind of a clear idea of what our character will look like. So I'm just coating this with the glue, really making sure it gets into those spaces between the wire. We also don't want drips going everywhere, so make sure you kind of check for drips as it's drying. Now this you can use to kind of, if there's any part of your armature that's struggling to like hold together tightly, this is a way you can really help that. We can still do LEDs from, say, a backpack to a light in the head, yes. Yeah, you don't have to run a wire to the base. You could make a battery pack inside of the, if you were doing this big torso like I'm doing here, you could do it all inside. I plan on running a wire because I want this to be a plug-in, not a battery-powered piece. I suppose I could decide later to change that, but it's best to run the wire just in case. Okay, so now we need that glue to dry. It's gonna be about 5 minutes. Let's do that. Let's order lights while that's drying. You could add a small nuclear reactor to the robot, and that would power the lights for sure. If that's in your skill set, sure, why not? Okay, so anytime you want to know where I get my lights, you just can go to my channel at any time and type exclamation LED. That will bring up this modeltrainsoftware.com website. Or Evans Design, sorry. You can get your lights wherever you want. This is just where I've gotten mine for like over a decade. I found this guy way back in the day, and he mostly makes lights for like model train people and stuff like that. But I really like. If you're just getting into lights, this is great because he does everything like for you as far as like doing the resistors and stuff, which for me saves a lot of time, and for you guys makes it more of a plug and play, less needing of understanding. So let's see, let's bring this up here. So I know he has, let's see, so let's start with the power source. I think we're going to need one of these wire connectors here, see? This will mean that the character can be unplugged from the base. So I can run a wire all the way to the base, and it can be a plug-in to an outlet of the wall, which is right here, this regulated 3-volt power supply. But I think we're going to go right here. We're going to get the 12-volt power supply. So let's go ahead and get that. 1 amp or 2 amps. 1 amp. We can add a switch to it if we want to, or no switch. We will add a switch. That'll just give a little switch that's on the cable that you can turn the light on or off without having to unplug it. No battery or battery snap. No battery. Okay. Add to cart. $12. Right here, 1 amp is 1 to 50 LEDs, 2 amps is 1 to 100 LEDs. We're only going to have probably about like 5 LEDs, so. Okay, then we go back. Let's go back. Back to the wire switches and more, and we're going to get these wire connectors here. Standard, okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, he offers like a splitter. Interesting. Okay. We're just going to do a standard one. Add to cart. $1. All right, and then let's go to the lights. Fire LED kit. I've used these before. They work really good. Let's see. This says show us. You can see that there. Creates like a flashing fire effect. Let's use 5mm. Did I must have not, because I only see one thing there. I'll have to do it again. Okay, so 3 volt, we don't want 3 volt, we want the 5 to 12 volt DC. I have a battery or adapter already, or I can add it. We're gonna do, wait. DC, add a 9-volt battery now, okay. Right here. So 5 to 12 volts, because that's what we're using for the power. 8-inch wire should be fine. We'll add to cart. Okay, we gotta go back. Let's go back to our power supply. We didn't add this. With the on-off switch. Sir Savage. Hey, thank you, my friend. 1 amp. Oh, I see. It doesn't have the switch for the 1 amp. Was it 2 amps? Okay, yeah. All right, that's fine. No battery. Add to cart. Please. Oh, no switch. Okay, I see. That's what happened. We have to select no switch, add to cart. There we go. Okay, let's go back here. So we're probably gonna want to get a switch, and we'll put it somewhere on the base. By the way, if you need the twisted wire, here's the twisted wire. I'm gonna add that because I'm actually out. Yeah. Can withstand up to 5 amps, 36 volts. So that's good stuff. Okay, so 30 feet of it, $8. Let's add that. Okay, now we go to switches. Shrink tubing, if you want to use shrink tubing, you can just use black tape, electrical tape. I already have shrink tubing, so I'm not buying that. Different kinds of switches. There's the rocker switch. These micro switches. You know what? Now that I think about it, I actually have switch. I already have a switch. My eyes are glazing over in confusion. Don't worry, I'll explain it. Fiber optic. Fiber optic master pack, what's that? Try all the fiber optics in one package. Look at that. End glow and side glow. Okay. You know what? Let's add one of those. And then... Okay, it comes with the tube. Okay, so then we'll go to... Back to regular LEDs. We need to pick out an eye color for his eye. I was thinking like maybe even have him having like a almost like a spotlight kind of color. Universal flashing. Solid LED 5 to 12 volt battery or regulated adapter. There we go. Grab this one. $5 millimeter. I think we'll just do like a cool white. We'll do cool white so it goes in contrast with the warm light from his furnace part. And we'll just add one. There we go. All right, so let's check out our cart here. About $35 white. So we have the power supply, which is a 12 volt plug-in that goes from the sculpture to the wall, and it has the little part that you can plug in. The wire to run all the wiring, which you will need to, in this step, you'll need the wiring. Fiber optic to kind of bring the light to little areas that are hard to reach. And we have a solid... Wait, did I not add the fire kit? Where's the fire kit? Didn't add the fire kit. Okay, I have to go back and get that. So this is the color of the light that will be in his eye, and then we need the fire kit for his belly. Right here. Okay. This is like three bulbs that add to cart. There we go. All right, $40 for all that stuff. The wired connector is so if we want the character to be detachable from the base, we need a disconnection point in the wire, so that way we can unplug the wire and remove the character. Does that make sense? Can I attach a fire kit to a coin battery I already have? Yes, but you'll want to get the other one. You want to get the if you don't want to do plug-in and you want to do battery operated, I think the coin batteries are 3 volts, so just make sure you get the 3 volt kit right here. Just always make sure the voltages match up. That's all you have to do. So whatever power supply you have, find out what volts it's giving off, and then you always pick the right one. So like right here, you can see 3 volt DC. I have a battery or adapter already. So I'm doing 5 to 12 volts, so because we're doing a plug-in that's 12 volts. Okay, So there we go. Order those. We'll just set them to the side. I will lay this all out in kind of a list if you want to follow along exactly how I'm going to be doing my lights. I'm telling you, if you get the right things, it's just a plug and play. It's literally connect the positive to the positive and the negative to the negative. And you're going to do some soldering. Okay, so. Chris, are these LEDs easy to find outside of the USA? You can find LEDs anywhere. I don't know of a good source outside of the US. So you're just going to have to... I would probably look in the model train realm. I'm sure there's somebody that's doing something very similar to this guy, but soldering, yeah. Yeah, soldering's not hard either. It's just you take the soldering iron, you let it heat up, and you just, put the solder onto the heat, the hot part. It melts, and then you just kind of move it around and kind of coat the wires with it. So you'll see. Be brave. Got this. You will need a soldering iron, a thing of solder, and a thing of black electrical tape. But again, I'll list that all. I'll list that all so you guys can get it ahead of time. We don't need it right now. We just needed to kill some time here while this glue dried. Let's get back to the armature here, which the glue has indeed dried. You can see, still a little bit sticky, but that's okay. Can at least continue. All right, so here's our. Oh wow, okay, yeah, we dripped a lot of glue. Oops. Watch the drips. Okay, so now I think I want to try and get this guy kind of mounted into our block of wood. So that way we can manipulate him a little bit easier. So let's get a drill bit that's as close to the same diameter as this as we can. Grab my drill bits. We want it very close so that way it's a snug fit. That's a little bit too small. It's just a smidge too small. Oh, yeah, it's 3/16, so we can just look for the 3/16. Oh, this is 3/16. Okay. This is the same exact size, so it should fit pretty snug. And we're just going to get it into this piece of wood here. Let's mark here. Okay, 1. And right there, 2. I need my drill, which I believe is in the other room. Let me go grab that. Okay, so now I don't want to drill this all the way through because I want the character to, I don't want the wire to just kind of go all the way down to the bottom. So let's see, on this one, or this hole, we want it to go probably to about here. So about that deep. See, hold it up to the side of the wood so you can see how far that would be. That wouldn't be all the way. And that would mean that this amount right here would be in the wood here and then here. Okay. Or probably more like this. Okay. So you can either put a piece of tape or you can mark the drill bit with the marker, which is what I'll do. Just gonna say right about here. I'm just gonna put a black mark there. And that allows me to know when to stop before I've drilled too far. All right, let's see if it fits. It's gonna be pretty snug. Okay, that one's in. Let me see. All right. Nice, Looney Lorna. A sweet treat, huh? Okay, so now that we got it kind of mounted in place, we can really shift around the posture a little bit. I also think I do wanna bring the hips in just a smidge, if we can. Let's see. Thinking I can use this and just give it a squeeze here. All right, let's do it. Okay. A little bit of a forward lean. All right. That's quite a sturdy armature, if I say so myself. So next, we're gonna do the arms. And we're gonna have a similar approach here. Actually, I'm realizing we're gonna need to, probably gonna need to cut this a little bit. It's a little bit too long for the torso. Maybe to about, see. About right there. That's the shoulder line. Sorry. I was just saying that's a great idea. If anybody doesn't want to do their armature this way, you can go back and watch the demo on how I made the armature for the sketch. And that's kind of the standard way to make the armature. So, and just like I said, you reinforce the legs with epoxy clay. And that's it. Okay. We're doing it this way because it's just gonna, it's a pain in the butt now, but it's gonna save us work and time later. So this is behind your man shrink. Don't doubt yourself. You made your sketch way too big. That's good though. Imagine you know that though, and you can scale things down. And that's the whole point of the sketch. Sometimes you make the sketch too small, too big, and you make the necessary adjustment for the final build, and that's more important because that's what the sketch is there for. So to kind of realize those things. All right, here we go. Oh wait, I need my glasses. Okay. There we go. It's probably a little bit toasty. All right, now I think we're gonna build the arm armature out of this stuff, which is gonna be easier to bend. This is a 1/8 inch steel round. Okay, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna start right here, and we're going to make our first bend here. This should be much easier. Let's see. Oop. Okay, we want the shoulder width to be about the same. Hello, Tupac. Oops. Okay, we want to be careful not to score this part up, because that's the part we want for the robot's arm. Okay, so let's see. Gonna take some measurements from here. That's to the elbow. And there we go. What will you use the gauge wire for if we go this route? What will you use the gauge wire for if we go this route? What do you mean? All right, let's cut it right there, and then we could bend the arm into shape. Or we could probably just make a second one. Yeah, so let's do that. Let's keep it not really bent into shape here. All right, let's cut it here. The regular wire, no, you're not going to need this. You're not going to need this wire for this build if you do it this route. We're using really thick pieces of steel wire. And the reason we're doing that is so we can benefit off of keeping certain parts extremely thin. You know, so like this part for sure will be very thin, and this part right here will be very thin. We won't add any clay to those areas. Which, yeah, okay. Let's get this cut, and then we'll make another one. All right, let's do our first bend here. You could probably build the whole thing out of this particular gauge I'm using and not this thick stuff. The reason I picked this thicker stuff is it's the diameter that I want. But you could make it out of this stuff, and then you could wrap one layer of clay around this and get a very close result too. But that's a nice hindsight moment there. Or even putting some sort of a sleeve, like a tube like this, over it to add to the thickness. No, it won't have clay added to it. On this lower part where the boot and stuff is, it will, but and the kneecap. But the whole point of this is to leave this part right here without clay. All right, there's that measurement there. I'm just duplicating the arm piece here, so they'll be the same. Nice, Clayton. Okay, I'm gonna copy where the elbow mark is, right there. And then we'll make a cut right here. I'll have both our arm pieces. Oops. All right. That will need to cool a little bit. Next step is to essentially do the same thing, where we're going to tether these two together, and then we're going to attach them to the center post here, and then we'll glue them again. Or we might just use some steel stick on the final part here. Why does that look longer? Oh, it's the same. Funny how that can play mind games with you. All right, let's grab some more of this. .22 gauge wire. Oh wait, like this. Just a heads up, I saw you guys mentioning that the VODs are available on Twitch and YouTube. They're only going to be available on YouTube. Twitch made a big change that limits us to only having a certain number of hours of VODs. So we'll be moving all our VODs over to YouTube. That'll be the place to go to watch the stuff that's already happened. So not Twitch. Twitch will be good for live stuff, but that's about it. How dare you, PB? Falsifying informations again, Okay, so we're just gonna add some extra on the end here. We're just gonna hold this up. I'm sure the server space for every single live streamer is, past broadcasts got to be pretty huge. And it doesn't really make them any money, you know what I mean? It's not like on YouTube, where YouTube's making plenty off of all the videos on their platform. I'm going to do a little bit more of this wire wrap here around the middle. So it's a little bit tighter. Let me bend the arm up so we can wrap it easier. Nice and tight. Yeah, I mean, in server costs, wouldn't be surprised. Okay, so now we can glue it again, or we can use steel stick. I think I'm gonna use steel stick for this part. Now I need a glove. So we just learned that the hour limit doesn't include the VODs. So the VODs will always be available for up to 90 days on Twitch. Past broadcasts and stuff. But we won't be able to save the playlist like the highlighted stuff. Okay. I have to admit I don't engage with VODs unless they're on YouTube. Yeah, see. It's just a different atmosphere, huh? Most people don't. Okay, so we mix this together. We got 5 minutes to get it where it's going. And then it hardens. Very similar to the glue. There we go. Just smoosh it in there. Like I say, it's probably one of the sturdiest armatures I've built in a long time. This thing's not moving anywhere. Good material to use if you're making a really large character. Okay. Now when that hardens, that's about as hard as steel. So let's get the shoulders squared up here. Actually, I think let's make there be a turn in the shoulders. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe more turned like this even. This backhand is twirling around the hook. So we got the axis of the hips going this way and the axis of the shoulders slightly off like that. It just makes it a little more interesting. Oh, when I do the screen cap. Yeah, I think I usually have that. Okay, so the problem is we got a whole new setup, and when I set up the chat on, I haven't quite figured out how I did the chat on the last setup. Cause like even right now the chat's missing, and it should be there. I have to fix it. Okay. Refresh. I don't know why that's broken. Okay, so this will start to heat up, and then it'll be looking pretty good. I guess I could start posing the arm while we're waiting for that. What do we got? Grab this here. Push this forward here a little bit. And then this one goes up. so. Runs on Steam. Yeah, that's kind of the idea. The backstory kind of idea is that he, he's an explorer robot, so he needs steady supply of some sort of fuel source, and so he has an aspect that runs off of a combustion engine. Okay, there we go. And then this elbow flared out. This needs to be bent more in. Okay, I think probably should have put these on before we bent the arm. Oops. We're gonna add one. I'm gonna add one of these to each arm. So let's unbend. Let's unbend here. There we go. Oh. Yeah. Let's give those hips another squeeze here. Now that the middle part's a little more cured. Let's go this way. All right. I think that's good enough. We can fine tune it once we start kind of adding mass, onto the piece. But for now, that's the rough positioning of our sketch. Now at this point, I think we'll start messing around with the tubes and the running of the wiring. Rebar robot, yeah, right. Kind of like that. So we can use a smaller tube. We run the wire armor or the. Okay, let's cut the pieces first. So right about there. So we're using this brass tube to conceal the wiring. You can just have the wiring showing if that's how you want your design to look, but I don't want any wiring showing on this part of the leg. So we're just gonna cut this here. With the Dremel tool. He's gonna have some lights on his head, and then he's gonna have like a fire light coming from his torso, from the chest. Okay, we can take a file here and we can file these down so they're not sharp. That's good. Oh, huh. I don't need that one. I need this one. If I use the battery, could I embed it in the landscape and then run it up the same way? Yeah. Or you could, if you're going to use a battery, you could even embed it in the torso if you're making the torso big enough. Okay. That should be good, right about there. So probably tack weld these in place with some super glue and activator. Let's do that. Just to hold it there temporarily. And then we can use something like steel stick to make it permanent. But before we do that, let's cut the other one. And this essentially would just be conduit. Also, we're gonna run the wiring actually up the straight leg here. Let's cut this one. All right. What's up, big hijinks? There we are. Okay, so now we'll take some super glue, and this stuff is called accelerator or activator. What it does is it makes the super glue instantly harden, so we can kind of use this as a little bit of a welding system. Kind of get things locked in where we want them to be. Probably about right there to right there. And I'm just gonna put a dot of super glue here. Ooh. About there, and then I'm gonna spray the activator stuff. There we go. Oop. Now we do it at the top. Give it a spray. Okay, and then this will be the one that the wiring actually runs up through. All right. Now we take our wire and we're just going to feed it in that position here. See how it works. Because the wire needs to go from the base where the plug-in will be all the way up to where the lights will be, which is going to be somewhere in the torso. So we just kind of, you know, just have a little section of wire up here for later use. Okay, and then we want to leave a good amount at the bottom too to work with. You don't want to cut it off exactly the length you need it. So that's good right there. Let's see. Cut off the excess. And that's going to save up so much work later in the final kind of result. The wire's already concealed. The part here will be sculpted over, and the part up here will be sculpted over. So, and then when we go to do the lighting, we'll probably access it from the back. We'll make his like backpack removable. That'll give us access to work around with the lights. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we want to get to today. I think that's it. I think we're good to start. You know what? One last thing. So now we want to take just a little bit of the steel stick, and we're gonna kind of cover the tops and bottoms of this. I'll just show you one section. Because that super glue is not going to hold permanently. Once you bake super glue, it loses its durability. So we want to get that on there before we get into any clay baking. Let's see. Where's my knife? Just a little piece, not too much. Do I have any experience with the glow-in-the-dark cosplay? A little bit, yeah. I've used it. It has a good, nice glow-in-the-dark, look to it. Yeah, I mean, it does need... Any glow-in-the-dark thing needs access to some sort of UV light to actually charge, so... Would it look good if that's all you... It's not going to look... it's going to look like your typical glow-in-the-dark kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I think all glow-in-the-dark things have that same kind of look about them. There we go. Just a little bit there. A little piece here. Will it look good? It could. You have to be careful with the glow-in-the-dark stuff because it could also look very, almost like tacky. You know what I mean? Is there an alternative to super glue? For doing this? What would be a good alternative? I mean, super glue is pretty nice for stuff like this. Just technically always an alternative. There's always a different way to do things. Oh yeah, UV light and epoxy could work the same way. You don't want to bake... Oh, I see. I understand. Okay. Yeah, you could use UV light and epoxy to do the same thing. Or you can just try to hold it in position while the steel stick dries. Oh, I see, Jones. Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have to leave that there until next week. So we got our armature prepared and ready for our first session of sculpting. So I think what we'll do is we'll end up starting with the torso next week. Maybe like the torso first, then the head. How do you attach the lights? We don't worry about that until after all the sculpting's done. So right now we just ran the wiring. So we got wires to go from the bottom of the sculpture to where we need the lights to be, which will be in the torso. So that's, and we don't need to worry about it now. We just kind of leave this, we just make sure this wire end is accessible and this one's accessible, and that's it. So later when we go into actually doing the lights, we'll have this kind of route already established. But yeah, so next, I think next Sunday we're gonna start the sculpting phase, and we'll get right into building of the torso. So torso, we're starting there because I think it's the biggest part, and it's gonna be yeah, a good intro into working with those kinds of shapes. Sweet. That's a really nice frame. Nice sturdy armature. Alright, this part is the next part is we're going to get into Discord, and we're going to see what you guys have been working on and give some feedback. If you've been following along any of the classes, at the Woodland Gremlin class, you can go check out how to sculpt a dragon, and then this one, how to sculpt a robot. You can follow along at your own speed and post each week and get feedback. It's also worth mentioning these classes are free because of you guys funding them. So if anybody wants to chip in to help keep these classes free and available and going, we're still raising funds for the robot sculpting class. We're almost there. So if anyone feels compelled to chip in, do !fund. And okay, we're gonna get into Discord here. Discord time. All right. So we'll start with the robot class and then we'll move our way down. If you're new to Discord, Discord gets you access to my server here. And then you'll want to read the rules and then click the little dancing guy. That should open up all the channels. And if you don't see this cnotbusch school section, go to channels and roles up here. Browse channels. And then make sure these are all checked so you can view them. It's just a weird Discord thing. But anyways, you go to the general class info. This is where you find stuff like the list of the tools and materials we use. That talks about steel stick, paint, and anytime I add new tools or materials or links to things, it's going to be here in this section. So here's a list of certain tools we'll be using specifically for the robot class. And then, all right, let's go check out robot class. Let's go see what we got here. Oh, okay. All right, Aaron. I bring you my sketches of brobots. They are bros who traverse the depths together. One has drilling and crushing capabilities, while the other's is the brains. They power themselves with crystals from the caves or combustibles. Okay. Combustibles. Oh, that's cool. I like that idea of two brother robots, you know. Like a team, you know, a duo. Okay. Yeah, that's looking good. But this guy's posture, he's a little bit too far leaning back. You know what I'm saying? He needs to be, the center of gravity needs to be shifted more forward for that to, because right now it reads like in the next frame of this scene, he's going to be falling on his butt. So that's an easy shift, though. It looks like you're working with monster clay, and I know monster clay takes longer to cool down and gain its structure. So that's probably, you're probably battling a little bit of that, wanting to like move around on you. So let's see here. That's cool. The idea is definitely there. It's exciting. So he's got this big, huge kind of claw thing going on here. Definitely on the bigger one, you're going to really want to make sure you beef up the armature on the legs. If you do it this way, you don't have to worry about it. But if you do it the regular way, you just want to make sure you add that epoxy clay on the legs. No. All right. Nice sketch. Clayton, week 1. So my scene will be 3 repair bots. You guys are getting into these multi-character pieces. Here I thought you were having a hard time with the length of the projects, and now you're all making it harder on yourselves. That's good. It's a good thing, honestly. The ambition. Okay, so 3 repair bots fixing an old broken down explorer bot. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Ran out of Chavant, so I only did 1 small bot going to mold and cast the bodies and heads from the other 2 at cosplay stage. Okay. Okay, I see. So you're going to be using the duplication method to create the 3 repair bots by only sculpting it once. And then the main explorer bot will just be an original. Okay. The wire behind the small bot is just to help it stand. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right. I like it. Nice use of mixed media there with the dowel rods. So is this is the repair bot, right? Oh no, that's the repair bot. Okay, this is the broken explorer bot. So he's just kind of like powered down and hunched over. That's pretty sweet. Yeah. Little repairer bot leaning on a wrench. See, oh, this is actually perfect because I talked about the duplication method being only really usable for modular characters. Well, robot is perfectly modular, you know. Each element can be kind of made and duplicated separately, and then you can assemble them together and create different poses for each. So that's cool. It's gonna be nice. So there'll be the one on the ground, maybe one up in the back, like messing around with the wires, and the other one fixing like the leg or something. All three will have different means of propulsion. Okay. Nice. Telling a story. I like it. Couldn't follow the first lesson, but as of right now, it's the first idea quite similar. Okay, some inspiration. Nice. Let's see here. Enjoyed the first class. Work is stopping me from starting, but I'll definitely get on it soon. Yep, take your time. No problem. You guys got to work at your own paces here. I ran out of monster clay. I would have kept going on this. Excited to start the final build and sculpt. There we go. We actually saw some of this because he was streaming it, and we rated him. But that looks good. I really like the shape you got going on here, for sure. A nice cleaned up sketch for sure. He's almost given like the like laugh pose, the ha ha ha, you know. Cool. Very nice, my friend. Levita Lux, I can't believe I actually followed through with this. Working with Shavant was an interesting experience. I was jumping up and down like 500 times each day to swap it out. Yeah. Oh, hey, look at that. Okay. All right, so now after seeing your design, I think, yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if you can use the thicker wire, but if you can't, that's fine too. Just use, I like it. I like this almost like softer featured character with the bird and the scroll, and yeah, very nice. But yeah, we definitely want to do the epoxy clay on the legs. Okay. Same thing here. So from this angle, you can really see we just need to lean him forward more. Okay. Make sure you make that correction on the final version. That he's, you know, standing, the center of gravity is more straight up and down here. Don't want him to look like he's tipping over. That's cool. I like the little clockwork bird. Yep. Nice. Nice designs here. Okay, we posted our sketch here in video form here, so you guys can go check it out. Go check that out. Karos. I made this out of normal plasticine. The robot is slightly different from cnots. He's looking for a woman who used to be the little girl that he took care of. Okay. She is an astronaut who gets lost while exploring a new planet. So the robot is looking for her, trying to receive a signal from the woman. Oh, okay. That's a cool story. She's got a little satellite dish. Yeah. Very nice. You could have like a little like almost like a little like family photo like tucked into his robot pack or something like that. So you want to bring elements that help tell that story without needing to say it, you know what I'm saying? So, but that is a really nice story. Satellite dish, I like it. Also, like when you're making design decisions on the robot, if it's like a caregiving bot, that's the past of it, that it was like almost like a nanny bot. You want to design it that way, you know, where it's like this robot shouldn't be exploring, but it is kind of thing, you know. So Not, we don't want to make it look like it's designed for rough exploring, but it's actually in an environment that's not designed for. So nice. It's a good start. All right. Nice work, everybody. Yeah, I'm excited. This is gonna be fun. Now I know that this way I built this armature is gonna be a little bit almost like intimidating or daunting. But please don't be, and just use. You guys already have shown you can build an armature just fine using the other way. Just use the other way if you don't want to do it this way, okay? And you can. Oh, you know what? This is a good thing to mention. If you don't want to sculpt, the epoxy clay on the legs, you can put epoxy glue on the part that's going to be shown here, on this bar part, and then cut a piece of this like aluminum tubing and just slip it onto that part, okay? And then do epoxy clay on the top and the bottom of this. Does that make sense? So then you get this nice cylinder finished shape without needing to no, it doesn't. Okay, let me show you. Ready? All right, ready? Like so. Ready? Like this. See that? So you can either put epoxy clay on here and sculpt and sand it, right? Pretend this is the part of the armature, that's this part of the leg. So you could cut that piece, you know, say this section right here, we measure it, we can cut this tube here, right about there. And then we can paint on epoxy glue and then slip this on that section, let it harden, and then the rest of it, so from the knee down, just use like steel stick. And that should that'll give you that look without having to mess with the really hard to bend armature wire. So does that make sense? That's just another way to do it. You know, there's always so many different ways to do it. The point of this method is we're creating less work for ourselves down the road. See, here I've made a really sturdy armature that's for this top heavy character. And I've also at the same time made it so I don't have to sculpt this part or this part. You know, this is already finished, so. Can you use A's epoxy clay instead of the glue? Well, the clay is going to be harder to slip the tube over. You know what I'm saying? If you take some 5-minute epoxy glue and then you kind of paint, you lather it onto the wire, and then slip this over there, that's going to. You don't want to bake glue in your studio. Well, there's no difference between baking epoxy glue and baking epoxy clay. It's still epoxy, it's just in a different form. It's not super glue. Super glue is different. You want to avoid that, and I get that. So, yeah, 5-minute epoxy glue is a 2-part epoxy glue. So you paint the epoxy glue on here, and you're gonna need to do this part before you bend it, so. And just be careful not to mess it up after you've attached it, So you make the leg straight first, and then you glue this on there, and then you go and you bend the knee, On this leg it'll be easier because it's straight, but a super glue baking survivor. All right, let's go back to Discord here. Bend the knee. Let's see here. No, I know baking super glue is not very good, and you should well ventilate your kitchen if you do use some super glue. But yeah, resins, epoxies and resins are pretty inert after they've been fully cured. Then they're pretty safe to be thrown in the oven. But I just always ventilate the kitchen, it's just never something I really worry about. So, okay, Dragon class. Let's go to Dragon class next. All right, let's see what we got here. Mr. Brightside got some more work done. Probably going to add some more spikes down the center of the back. Looking forward to the wings and books. Okay. Wonderful. I like this side here. I like the proportions are very cute. You can really see it from this side here. There's some alligator inspiration right there. Looking good. Very nice, Mr. Brightside. Keep it up, my friend. Now, okay, so there's one thing I noticed. So, when a character is like reaching for something like this, you might want to move this. You might want to move this arm more like this, because his center of gravity is right here between the two legs. And if he lifts this arm up like this, but doesn't shift his arm over more to like the middle, imagine someone doing like a one-handed push-up, right? They're gonna be doing it. If they did it from the outside like that, it wouldn't work. They would just tip over, So you can unscrew this and bend this wire so it comes in more. I would bend the whole arm, but that's gonna require you to make a cut right here, and then just kind of fill in with some more clay and make it look like scales. But yeah, this arm should be coming in more. It's a little bit it's too far on the outside. So that's one thing that's jumped out to me. Yeah, you can see it over here too. That if he had lifted his arm up like this, he's on his way to be toppling forward. But yeah, everything else looks really good. Keep it up. Saradini's still working on the wings. Is this looking better? Please excuse the very messy table. Okay, you've been excused. All right. Yeah, it's looking better. More blended in. I mean, they do still kind of stick out, but I think once it's all painted, it's not really going to stick out as much as it does right now in the gray scales. See right now it's like, it's just like you can just kind of see where those wrinkles are pretty obviously. I know it's difficult to blend them in, so like I said, I think once it's all painted and it's all the actual fleshy tone color, should be fine. I would like to see them blended in more, but it's good enough. Yeah. Looks good. It looks good, really good from the back here, the way this all kind of comes together. All right, PB Sculpt. Making progress. I tried different styles of spikes on the upper thigh, but settled for these. Any thoughts? All right, let's see here. Well, I like that. I like how that looks. Pretty cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. I think it looks good. I would echo that style throughout the character. Little stout spikes, yeah. So like when you're doing the back of the neck and the tail and stuff like that, trying to kind of create a similar look so there's that kind of cohesion through the character. But yeah, it's a winner strategy. All right, nice job there, PB. Great work, my friend. On to the Gremlin class. All right, Gremlin class, you're up. Looks like we got one submission by Jaro here. Hey there, the first gnome is on the edge of finished. I have to let him on the side because I moved home. So in the meantime, I will progress the other one. Slowly but surely, here's the first arm and some start of the t-shirt. I'm not sure yet where this will be going. That's okay. Make those decisions when you get there. I really like your wrinkle work is fantastic. This is somebody you can tell is using a reference, using it well. It's like he just snapped his fingers, like a Rumpelstiltskin type of guy. Rumpelstiltskin. Yeah, the wrinkle work is really good. You could even just go full Rumpelstiltskin for him and have like a sewing needle behind his back or something. Isn't that how the story goes? That she pricks her finger on a needle and something like that. Something rather. I'd have to go back and look at it. That's awesome. Nice work, Jaro. Yeah, I like the expression and the story and all that stuff. I'm excited to see it turn out more. So you nailed that tail. That's right. Yeah, something with a prick of the finger and then the thing and then the something. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're off to a great start here. I'm very excited. This has got, like I said, it's got to be one of the most stable armatures I've built in a very long time. This thing's not moving anywhere, so. Which is a good thing. So we'll pick things back up next week. Just be ready for working with clay next week. So make sure you have the clay tools that I had listed there, and aluminum foil, hot glue gun, and whatever clay you're going to use. I recommend Cos clay extra firm or medium firm. Okay. Extra firm or medium firm, if you can get it. Oh, and also some clay glue here, the C2 or something equivalent. I'm not sure if we'll need the separator yet, but we'll probably use that at some point on this lesson here. So. Hey, Mr. Plantita, thank you. Oh yeah, let me thank. I think you're the only one actually. Mr. Plantita, thank you so much for the 55 months, man. Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for your support. I'm gonna get on out of here. That class is finished up. I'm gonna go finish off my weekend here. We got a lot of stuff to do before the week starts, and yeah. Now I need to go shopping. Yeah, right. Well, I'll be back on tomorrow for our normal week's work. We'll be working on Alduin from Skyrim in the morning and Lae'zel from Baldur's Gate in the evening. So let's find someone to raid. Let's see what we got here. I'll go drop you guys off with DZ Kawa doing a Lightbox Expo challenge. She's a very talented digital illustrator. All right. Yeah, no problem, Mr. Brightside. You too, Gravity. Hey, everybody. We'll catch you later. See you tomorrow, bright and early. Till then, my friends, bye-bye.